to the Instagram stories for Saturday, May 24th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill, and this is the weekend edition of the Instagram stories. It just happens to be a day late. Today on the show, we're going to have some Instagram DM updates, including voice memos up to 5 minutes and audio transcription. Additionally, the head of Instagram will stop by to explain how to use the favorites feature on Instagram to ensure you don't miss the content from the people that you care about most. There's also an update from the Meta Quest team, who will now be testing 3D photos on Instagram inside the Quest headsets. And Ashley Coffey from the Coffee and Code podcast stops by to talk what's relevant this week in AI with a focus on social. All of that and more on today's episode, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back. Let's start with the Instagram news. The Instagram team has added a couple of new features to the DM inbox. First, Instagram has added text transcription of voice messages into DMs. So when you get a voice message, but you don't really have the right scenario to listen to it, you can still get the gist of it by looking at the transcript. When you get an audio clip in the DM, you'll have an option to transcribe it in stream with a new View Transcript button below the audio wave. Instagram says, quote, now when you receive a voice message in DMs, you can view a transcription of the audio before, during, and after you play the voice message, making it easier to connect with friends even when you can't listen to their message out loud, end quote. On to the next. Instagram is extending the maximum length of audio clips in DMs from 1 minute to 5 minutes. If you've been using the voice memo feature to send messages back and forth to the people that you care about, it can be a bit frustrating when you reach that one limit mark, because if you're telling a long story, you have to send a bunch of messages. Good news, you now can send a message up to 5 minutes long. And lastly, Instagram's adding a quick follow option within group chats. So if you are in a group chat with a number of people, some of which you don't follow, you can now follow everyone with just one button press. Moving on to some other Instagram news, the Meta team is beginning to test showing 3D photos on Instagram if you are looking at your feed using a Meta Quest VR headset. Meta says in a blog post, quote, thanks to our AI view synthesis algorithms, we can transform the existing photos that show up in Instagram feed pixel by pixel. No fancy 3D cameras required. That means flat photos that weren't originally captured in 3D will automatically be converted into an immersive format that gives 2D images a sense of depth when you view them on Quest, end quote. The Meta team said how the test will roll out, saying, quote, not everyone will have access to 3D Instagram photos on Quest, and even if you're in the test group, you may not see it right away, end quote. Make sure your Meta Quest is updated to version 77 if you want to test this. Next, let's hear from the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, explaining about a feature you might not be familiar with on Instagram called favorites. If you want to make sure that you never miss a piece of content from certain people, you're going to want to know about this feature. Here's the clip.
Quick video about a feature you might not know on Instagram called favorites, but I think you're going to like, which allows you to pick up to 50 accounts that you want to make sure you don't miss any content from. So whenever one of your favorite accounts posts, you will see their photo or video or carousel at the top of your feed. And by the way, favorites are private, so no one will know what your favorites list is. You can also, from the home screen, click on the Instagram logo and go to a dedicated feed of posts from your favorites. By the way, in that switcher, you will also see a following feed where you can see a chronological feed of all the photos and videos posted from all of the accounts you follow with no recommendations, no content from accounts you do not follow. All ways to hopefully get to the content that you might be interested in at any one moment. So check it out. Hopefully you enjoy. See y'all soon. Later.
I actually learned something from that clip, which is that you can favorite up to 50 accounts. As a reminder, an alternative way to ensure you don't miss any content from the people who you really want to see is to turn notifications on for their content. You can be notified every time they make a post or a story or a reel. You do have that level of flexibility as well, but the favorites feed is a great way to consume content from the accounts you want to see. Okay, that's it for the Instagram news. We are going to take a quick break because when we come back, Ashley Coffey from the Coffee and Code podcast is going to stop by to share all the latest updates that you need to know in the world of AI. Stick around. Welcome back. And now to give us the latest on what's happening in the world of AI, here's Ashley Coffey.
Hello, everyone. Ashley Coffey here, host of the Coffee and Code podcast. And thank you to Daniel Hill for inviting me back yet again to share some updates on AI and social media that happened this week. I dug through everything so that you don't have to. So let's get into it. Meta cleared in German court to use public posts in AI training. A consumer rights group sought to block Meta from using public Facebook and Instagram content to train its AI, and the court ruled in Meta's favor, permitted continued training while requiring user opt-out notices for EU users. Also, Meta promotes AI friends on social platforms, but users push back. If you've been reading the news lately, you probably saw this in the headlines this week. Mark Zuckerberg, head of Meta, emphasized his vision of AI-powered personas as future social companions. However, many users continue to prioritize authentic human connections over AI-generated quote friends. Speaking of AI, deepfake and misinformation threats escalate. This week, an ABC host was deceived by a convincing deepfake video, highlighting the risks of false endorsements and scams. Another example, in India, police are investigating a fake AI-generated image falsely linking a politician to a YouTuber. This is a reminder of how easily AI is used to misinform on social platforms. Next up, the Take It Down Act becomes law to address non-consensual deepfakes. On May 19, 2025, President Trump signed the Take It Down Act, a bipartisan law mandating that platforms must remove non-consensual and intimate deepfake content within 48 hours of the victim submitting their request. This is a major step in AI regulation and online safety. Also, you probably saw this as well. AI-generated fake summer reading lists hit major newspapers, y'all. Newspapers like the Chicago Sun-Times and Philadelphia Inquirer both published AI-generated book recommendations, only for it to emerge that many titles were fabricated. This incident sparks fresh debate over AI editorial oversight. I can tell you from firsthand experience, they did not have a human-in-the-loop process, which is essential if you're going to let AI do anything that's going to be public-facing. Next up, in Pew Research, AI appears widely across the web, but surface level. A new report from Pew reveals that 60% of Americans encounter AI-generated summaries or snippets while browsing, but deeper exploration of AI content remains rare. This is interesting because I'm seeing rising concerns over AI slop on social platforms and, how AI is being used in academia. So this week's themes are regulatory progress, trust and misinformation, platform strategy, and user awareness trends. Together, these developments reflect a pivotal moment. AI is deeply woven into social media, from technology to policy, but platform responsibilities, content quality, and user perceptions are being tested by both innovation and consequence. That's all for this week. Thanks for listening in. Again, this is Ashley Coffey, and thank you to Daniel Hill for having me on the show. Have a great and safe weekend.
Thank you, Ashley, for those updates. If you have not checked out Ashley Coffey's podcast, I highly recommend it. It's called Coffee and Code. You can get to it directly from the link in the show notes. That is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to come back next time for more social media news, strategy, and other things that I'm positive you should absolutely be aware of.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager but do not have a bachelor's degree, but actually that's factually a fraction of me. Another fraction's posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course, a book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency, but I got a lot of spam. Just putting in my work without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish unless it's shrimp or clam. No six pack, no risk that there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.